two things I really want to ask you. You said you generally come up against more obstacles. Like, can you give me an example? What does that mean? Like, what kind of obstacles do you come up against?
In working with brands directly?
Yeah.
Yeah, so these brands, they do get bombarded a lot by a lot of sellers contacting them, of course, because like everyone's looking at the same criteria. So they see a brand that looks viable, they'll contact the brand. And a lot of these brands will get like multiple inquiries every single day from Amazon sellers. So a lot of them end up just batting the sellers away. No more Amazon, no more Amazon, no more Amazon. And that's just like their default response. And we still get a good amount of that as well. It is a numbers game. So like, 3 out of 4 will just be like, nope. And we'll move on. We don't like plead and beg, but we do, if it's not like a hard no, we'll like try and like sneak our way in however we can. So that's one we'll mention, like we sell on other channels, or we notice like there's this issue with like this seller or this listing, and like try and start a conversation that will also like throw money at the problem too. Be like, we're looking to do like, a truckload order, like a, 6-figure order with you right off the bat. Like sometimes that'll perk some people up and be like, okay, well, if you're going to do that, then maybe we'll sell to you. Like we try and just like angle our way in as much as possible. And then another good strategy we found is for any brand, account outreach is have a company website and so like my purchasing director will reach out and then like copy admin and copy me. There's like 3 people on the email, and then whoever receives it, they're like, oh, this is like a company with multiple people with email addresses at the same domain name. It looks like much more like a company than, a guy just with a gmail.com address and a residential address. So like, fortunately, we can legitimately kind of like puff ourselves up now, saying like we have not only one warehouse, but 2 in like 2 different states. And, we can do logistics for you as well, So that's a new thing I added to my pitch. Like I'm adding it to my website, a whole thing. Like we could, okay, you don't want to sell to us? That's fine. Like we can, you can import your containers or product to here and we'll do logistics for you and stuff. And then that kind of like takes their mind off and just like, oh, they're an Amazon seller. It's more like, a company that does more than that. So I'd recommend just for anyone trying to do outreach, it's like, make yourself look as big and diversified and legitimate as possible without completely lying, but that's the truth, like, to your favor.
I've had that, like, obviously I'm not a wholesale seller, but I've had it where we've had a call with like a service provider, and I've just asked my ops manager, can you just join the call? And he invites like the purchasing manager and then like 2 of the admin girls. And like I jump on the call and there's like 6 from my team on the call. They're like, what the hell? I'm like, I feel like we're bullying the other person. And they're like, these guys are serious. But yeah, it's quite funny.
Yeah. So I think that strategy is a good one. And I can definitely see it in their faces if we ever do a Zoom call, like that they're taking us seriously that way.
Can I ask a final question around that kind of topic? You talked about it was challenging. You talked about it as a numbers game. Can I ask you kind of like, what are the numbers? Like if someone's doing like a funnel, like if I were to call like 100 people, like are you happy to share like rough percentages of
for sure.
How many bat you off, how many like engage in a conversation, how many you might get to a thing, and then how many you actually convert with? Is that okay?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I actually don't have those exact statistics. I should, but I do know the rough numbers. So I think it's roughly, we'll probably open about 20% of accounts that we reach out to. And then of those 20%, that's what people need to realize too. It's like once you open the account, that's like step 1 of like 3 or 4 steps to like actually buying products. So like you open the account, a lot of the times they'll send you a price list and it just does not work at all. And you'll be like, what is going on here? And they just sometimes just won't give you the price you need, or they'll give you a crappy price that's just the margin's not as good as what we need. Maybe some sellers are willing to sell at like 5% margin or something, but our criteria is more like 20% gross margin or close to it. So a lot of times the pricing will work, and well, that's I guess the main one why we would like to say like, no, we're not going to buy. And sometimes like the order minimums will be so much to get the price we need. We'd need like a year of stock, and then like, we're not turning our money over. So like they make you order too much. Other times the distributors will actually offer a lower price to the brand, because like some of these distributors, they have contracts with the brand where they're buying like truckloads every week, and they're buying so much that they have like a special price, and then they pass on like some of those savings to you. So occasionally distributors can actually have better prices than the brands will offer you, unless you order just an absolutely obscene amount. Other distributors are grandfathered into older pricing. Companies that have spent millions with the brand over like decades, they'll have special treatment. So like that happened to me once. there's like a beauty brand I was buying through a distributor. I got the account, the brand directly, and I was all excited because I thought it was going to be like 20% cheaper on everything. They sent me the list, and I was like, I'm literally buying these products for way less from someone who's buying from you. So like, how does this work? So, like, I need the price that they get, or else it doesn't make sense for me to buy from you guys directly. And they're like, and then they like escalated it up, and they're like, oh yeah, we have a special relationship with them. We've been doing business a long, long time, and they have like special pricing that no one else has. So there's some of that stuff that goes on with brands, understandably. I mean, brands want to reward the like really loyal, great relationships, and I don't have a problem with that or anything. But yeah, sometimes the numbers don't work with a brand directly, but do through a distributor, which is interesting. Back to the main point, I'd say like probably every other list doesn't work well enough for us, or maybe even 2/3 of them. So we're looking at maybe like 1 out of 10 that are reached out we end up buying from, and maybe that's even high. It could be more like 1 out of 15, 1 out of 20. So but somewhere in there. So like, the takeaway is like you do have to contact a lot of brands. If you want a stream of like new accounts that are viable coming into your business, you have to run like a reach out engine basically. Then you're also going to lose accounts as well. I mean, because Amazon is such a dynamic marketplace that a lot of brands will be like, why are we foregoing millions by selling to all these resellers when we can just figure out how to make an FBA account and sell it ourselves? And, more and more brands are figuring that out over time. As a wholesale seller with a lot of accounts, you will inevitably lose accounts. So you need an engine of like more accounts in than are coming out if you want to grow. Otherwise, you'll stagnate or even decline.
Good. And obviously you talked about like, I kind of did have 100 calls, 20% you'd open, 10%, maybe even 7.5% you'd actually buy from. How many would you be able to get like brand exclusive? Would that be? Would it be like 1%?
Yeah, that's much harder, much harder. We've done it like twice, and we've never really like pushed hard though. We don't like try to do that with every single brand, but we have landed a couple. And honestly, we want to develop our product around that a little better too, because like brands would be more likely to do it if you're like, hey, we'll manage your ad spend, and we will contribute to ad spend, and we will optimize all your listings and create you a branded storefront and get you in the brand registry and like XYZ. We don't have like a standard procedure for that or enough firepower to like really serve a brand really well, especially a great big brand, but even a small one is like a stretch for us. So we haven't really pushed for that. If we did push hard, we maybe could have landed a couple more, but it's pretty tough. I mean, a lot of businesses are really afraid to make that leap. So yeah, it's not easy, but if you get them at the right time, it's a lot easier. I think it's like if you catch them early where they like haven't put anything on Amazon yet, or like just thinking about their Amazon strategy, I think that's like the best time to do it. And then you help them grow and enjoy that growth with them. But like established brands that are already, a lot of their stuff's on Amazon, they already have a lot of relationships with other pretty decent resellers. They're wary of like ending all those relationships for one person. They're afraid that like sales will decline, and those orders, a lot of small brands rely on those orders from resellers. And it's scary for them to be like, all right, we're cutting off all these orders, like these $300,000 of orders a month we usually get from these people, and like putting our eggs in this one basket at your company, So I think it's a little tough to do, like right off the bat, like say like, hey, can we sell your product, and can we be the only one to sell it? That's asking a lot. But after a few years and like a lot of effort, it's definitely possible.
No, I love it. Question for you. I think that's brilliant. You talked a bit about it off air, and I alluded to it very early on in the interview. Partnerships I mentioned, and there's someone who literally is next door to you, and you have a great partnership with them.
Yeah.
Can you explain like what I'm trying to talk about? Like, what does it mean, and how does it help you?
Yeah, for sure. So I've been very, very fortunate to go on most of this journey like with a great friend from my hometown. I started solo my first year and had some success, and he saw what I was doing, and he was kind of like between careers, kind of lost. He didn't know what he wanted to do, so he's like, oh, this looks pretty cool, like let me try it too. And so he started his own seller account and bought a lot of the same products. I just like shared all my products and leads and stuff. Like we're actually are each other's biggest competitors, but we don't view it that way. It's like we sell a lot of the same products on the same listings, so we take each other's buy box share a little bit, but we just don't even view it that way at all. It's like so he's a friend, and he has his own storefront, and it's also doing huge numbers too. And we use that to our advantage because like just generally like two heads are better than one. Like two people tackling a problem like often will arrive at a better conclusion than I would have alone or he would have alone. So like our decision making I think is better. And secondly, like for purchasing, it's a huge help. We can hit like really high order minimums, and it's split between two storefronts. So like, let's say a brand requires 100K minimum order to like get the pricing we need to like actually make a margin. That might be too much for my store to do because it would be like going too deep on like, 6+ months of stock or something, not able to move it that quickly. But if I split it with them, then we each have more like 3 months of stock. And that helps us like hit bigger numbers and share the burden basically. And we use our like collective buy box share, which is greater than like our individual buy box share to move more units faster. So splitting orders has been huge. And then also like even now, like my buyer gets accounts and then we'll intro his business to the brand and then like, hey, we work with these guys really closely. Like can they become an authorized seller too? And vice versa. So like it's sort of like I have two buyers. I have my own and his, and then he also has two buyers. He has his own and mine. And like we all kind of like share in that. And it just works really, really great for us. So and then lastly, like we're not really business partners, so we're not partners in the same business. So if we ever disagree on a course of action on what to do on anything, we're just like, all right, you do it your way, I'll do it my way, and it's all good. So it's like a partnership with no ability to fight, because a lot of business partnerships can ruin friendships and family relationships, and we don't have that possibility because there's just our own businesses on the line, and we take responsibility for our own businesses. And so it's pretty great.
My God. And question for you, obviously you talked about he's your biggest competitor. Like what's the crossover like? Do you know how much that is? Like, are you
I think our SKUs overlap probably 80% of our SKUs, which, I mean, we were almost carbon copies of each other's businesses up until maybe a year ago. And then we've diverged a little because we both kind of wanted to as well. Like, because we were worried about like related account suspensions and like how Amazon would view like two stores selling all the same SKUs. It was always in the back of our minds, like maybe we should like go different directions with certain accounts. So he's actually landed a couple of really good exclusives that he's like, sorry, but I'm just going to take this. And I'm like, all right, yeah, no problem. And vice versa, that's our deal. It's like if one company lands an exclusive, we don't have to like share it. But otherwise, 99% of the time, we're just like sharing everything that comes in and trying to get the other business an account. And
so let me challenge that. Like the normal mindset would be like, you're just making more competition for yourself. Right. Like stop doing that. If someone, I reckon like 99% of Twitter right now would say that's a stupid idea. Like, what would you say to that?
I would say I wouldn't do this with just anyone. It's not like I like friend 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, like they want to sell on Amazon, like, yeah, come on, share all our stuff. Like it was kind of a one-time deal with just like a really good friend. We wouldn't want to like repeat that again and again and like cannibalize our own sales. But for us, I mean, for me anyway, I would rather make half the money and do it with a great friend than make all of it myself. That's like looking back at the best times I've had so far have more been like moments and like sharing the victories with somebody else over like, just seeing like the net profit on my P&L statement. Like if I was just doing this alone, I don't think I'd be having half as much fun I'm having. So you got to consider that as well. Like doing it with someone, like this business can be lonely if, it's just all you and like you don't have much of a community around you within Amazon. So it's like the intangible value of doing that is worth like any sales that were like cannibalized by like another seller.
And I think it's really there's a saying which I have, and I'll say it in a minute. But I know in business you are your own worst enemy, and by working with someone else, you can help overcome those problems. And the way I kind of think about the whole kind of equation is that 1 + 1 = 3, which sounds a bit crazy, but it's kind of like if I worked on my own, I probably wouldn't be able to get as far as if I worked alongside someone helping me out, and together we're like 50% better. So that's why it's like it's 1 + 1 on their own = 200. 1 + 1 together is 150. Now you get 150%. Now you get 3, for example. And that's the way I think about it.
Yeah, that's certainly what it feels like for me. And I'll give you actually a concrete example of that. So that yeast product I was talking about earlier in the call that like transformed both of our businesses is a perfect example how we couldn't have done it alone. My friend was the one who found it. Like he was looking at an old leads list. I never would have thought to revisit it So he found the product and he's like, hey, Dan, check this out. Like, do you think this is a mistake? Like, this seems insane. And I looked and I never would have revisited that product again. So, and then I came in and I had this connection with this bakery that he never would have had. He never would have even thought to like try and do that. Literally without each other, neither of us would have made that 200 or 300 grand each that like catapulted our business. And there's a bunch of examples like that, I think. Yeah, without that second person, like I don't think either of us would be there and grow as much as we did.
So appreciate time, and also you're a super busy man. Where are you going to be in 1 year's time? Tell me about that. If I come visit you in 1 year, maybe look at one of the warehouses. Tell me what business is going to look like.
Yeah, my goal is to have a thriving prep center, like kind of hit our capacity or close to it, with super solid systems and people in place where more or less runs itself. I'd like to just, like my last hire, install kind of a general manager and just, the business runs and like it knows how to run without me. That would be a huge relief to me, honestly, because I'm kind of going crazy like back and forth. So there's that. And so that's goal number one. And then goal for my Amazon business, there's a sales goal of like 20 million. So I did 12 million in sales last year. My Amazon sales goal is 18 million and I want to do 2 million off Amazon, like eBay, Walmart. So that's why I'm hiring this person to like, really put my whole catalog on these other channels. So my goal is 20 million revenue with the same margin. And my margin, by the way, is about 20% gross. And after all overhead, it's about 13, 14% net, something like that, which is, I think pretty solid for wholesale. I haven't really heard of much better than that. And so I want to stay as lean and mean as possible. But so I guess, growth on Amazon, but also growth on other channels. And then as crazy as it sounds, I'm also considering putting out some sort of course or mentorship program and taking my social media and media presence a lot more seriously than just like random posts on Instagram when I feel like it. But that is a third business from everything I've heard. It's, it's a lot of work, it's a lot of marketing. And so it's not something I take lightly. But if I were to ever do another thing, that would be the next thing. So yeah, that's my goals. Yeah.
I love it. And if anyone wants to get in contact, what's the best way to do it?
Yeah, right now it's like Instagram's the best way. You can give me a follow or shoot me a DM about whatever, and I should be able to respond. And and my prep center is closed to customers right now. We're trying to grow thoughtfully and carefully before like getting in over our heads. But if you do want to be added to a wait list, I do have one, and you will be notified when we open it back up to customers. So if anyone has interest in that, you can just shoot me a DM with your email, and I'll add you to the list. Yeah.
Fantastic. And if anyone wants to know, I put links down below this video so you can see that and obviously get in contact with Dan and also his prep center and everything that he wants to do. So Dan, I just want to say thank you so much. I appreciate you being super busy and I love your journey. I love what you're talking about and I'm looking forward to hopefully come visit you in a year's time. So
for sure. Yeah, you're welcome anytime, and thanks for all the thoughtful questions. That's fun. Thank you.
Brilliant. Take care. Bye-bye.